So we're discussing normal distribution and we're going to start it from scratch, or at least revise it. Okay, so in the last lesson, we discussed that normal distribution graphically looks like this. Okay. On the y-axis, you have probabilities. Okay, and we discussed that if we're reading from the table, then mu has to be 0 and standard deviation has to be 1. Let me cut paste the table over here. Here's the normal distribution table. So we can only read values from the table if the mean of the distribution is 0 and standard deviation of the distribution is 1. Let's do a couple of examples. Just to revise, how would we read values or how would we find probabilities using the table? All right, so we're going to find probability Z, which is a normally distributed variable. Probability Z is less than 1.236. Okay, this is what we have to find. Okay, we know that the mean is 0. So we have 0 over here. We need to find probability Z is less than 1.236. 1.236, let's say, would be somewhere over here towards the right of 0. And we have to find this probability. Probability in normal distribution is represented by area under the graph as well. Okay, so we have to find this probability. We can read it from the table. Let's see where's 1.2. 1.2 is right here. And then it's 3. 3 is right here. So this is the probability is 0.8907. However, there's a 6 after that. So here's 6. And what do we have? Underneath 6, it's 11. So what do you do with the 11? You add it to the last 2 digits of this. So we have 0.8907 and you add 1 and 1 with the last 2 digits. So we get 8, we get 198. So the probability will be 0.8918. So this can also be represented as phi 1.236, which would mean find probability Z is less than 1.236. So generally, phi Z means probability Z is less than small z. Okay. Now let's look at this case. Probability Z is greater than 1.236. So that would mean this case. Let me redraw this. So now we need to find this probability. However, if you're using the table, that means you have to use Z is less than some value. You cannot directly use the table if it's Z is greater than some value. So
One minus कर देंगे इसको. 1 minus.
Exactly. So you do 1 minus this area or this probability. So 1 minus probability Z is less than 1.236, which would be 1 minus 0.8918. Let me quickly grab my calculator. Okay, turns out I don't have it. Can anybody use the calculator and tell me what you get first?
0.1182.
Okay, so it's going to be 0.1182.
Sorry, मैं 1082 1
0.1082. Okay,
मैं बैटल बैच कर रहा था.
okay. अब कैलकुलेटर से किया.
ये मैम.
Okay, so 0.1082 would be the probability that Z is greater than 1.236. All right. Now, so that means generally, if you're asked to find probability Z is greater than some value X, let's say, so then that would be 1 minus probability Z is less than X. And you can read this from the table. You cannot directly read this from the table. Okay. Now let's take a look at, let me just write the answer next to it. 0.1082. Okay. Next is probability Z is, let's say, less than negative 1.236. All right, if you look at the table, you do not see negative values anywhere over here. This is Z, the first column. We don't have any negative value over here. That means table cannot be directly used to find Z unless to find the probability of a negative variable, unless, sorry, a negative value, unless we change it somehow. Okay, let's draw this on a graph and let's see what it means and how we can represent it as a positive value. Okay, so negative 1.236 would be somewhere over here. This is the probability that you have to find. Cannot use the table for negative value. Instead, what we'll do, we will reflect it and find this area instead. Normal distribution is a very symmetrical curve. So this area and this area, they're going to be exactly the same. That means the probabilities would be exactly the same. So that means now we have to find this probability, right? Probability Z is greater than 1.236, and that we've already found. So this will also be the same as, let's call it A, B, C. So it's going to be the same as what we got in part B. So this will also be 0.1082. So what we've concluded is that if probability Z is greater than minus X, it's the same as probability Z is greater than X. Sorry, less than minus X. Sorry. Which is the same as 1 minus probability Z is less than X. Okay. Now let's take a look at this case. Probability Z is greater than negative 1.236, which means this region, again, we cannot use the table in a greater than scenario. We cannot use the table for negative values. So instead, we'll take advantage of the symmetrical nature of this curve and instead find this area or this probability, which is going to give the exact same answer because the areas are exactly the same. So this is going to be the same as probability z is less than 1.236, which we found in part A, which was 0.8918. So that means probability z is greater than a negative value is the same as probability z is less than that the same value made positive. So probability z is greater than minus x is the same as probability z is less than x. Just give me a second. Now let's look at the case where part E, probability z is between two values. Let's say we have 0.1 here and we have, let's say, 0.911 here. Okay, so in such a case, if you, I'm writing the general formula over here. If you have probability z is between A and B, then it's equals to phi B minus phi A. That means probability z is less than B minus probability z is less than A. In fact, let me just use 1.236 as the bigger value so that I have to do less calculations over here or refer to the table less because I've already found probability z is less than 1.236. Okay, so using the formula, we know that this is the same as probability z is less than 1.236 minus probability z is less than 0.1. So this we already know from the table. We got 0.8918 minus, let's find probability z is less than 0.1. Okay. So that is going to be 0.1 is right here and there's nothing after 0.1. So we're going to use 0.5398. This 0.5398. Okay. So minus 0.5398. Can you tell me what that is? Heather?
मैम आंसर है 0.352.
Okay, 0.35. Okay, what if one of these?
बस इस पार्ट ई में आपने सेपरेट किया था, मैंने सुना थी तो पार्टी को आपने बस सेपरेट किया जैसे
हाँ
उसमें
जी,
इनइक्वालिटीज होती थी ओवर लेवल
हाँ
में.
जी, हाँ जी।
ठीक है मैम.
पहले आप बड़े वाले का ले लेते हो और फिर छोटे वाले and then you subtract
ठीक
them.
है मैम.
Okay, but
समझ गया.
what
थैंक यू मैम.
if, okay, what if one of them is negative? Negative 0.1 and z and less than 1.236. Okay. So in this
नेगेटिव वाले
case,
को फ्लिप कर देंगे उस पे उसके.
let's see, just a second. So the general rule is going to be, किधर गए rules? Yeah, okay. So for this case, if one of them is negative, what you can do is write phi B or phi A, write anyone first, then plus phi B, and then subtract 1 from the probability. That is phi. Phi means probability Z is less than A, plus probability Z is less than B, and subtract 1 from the answer. Okay, so keeping that in mind, what we'll do here is find 5.1. Phi means you're ready to use the table directly. Everything is good. Plus phi 1.236 minus 1. Okay, so we've already found the probability for 0.1. It was 0.5398 plus we've already found phi 1.236. That was 0.8918. And then you subtract 1 from the answer. Heather, can you tell me what this is?
Zero point 0.4316.
Okay. So what if both of them are negative? So what if it's probability of Z being in between negative 1.236 to negative 0.1?
मैम इसको पॉजिटिव दोनों करने के 0.1 को लेफ्ट साइड में 1.236 को राइट साइड में मेरे ख्याल से
The general rule is, let's see, minus A Z less than minus B. So what you do, you just do phi A minus phi B, which is exactly what you're saying. You swap the places, change the negative sign, and then you do phi A minus phi B. Same thing. So that means this is going to be phi 1.236 minus phi 0.1. So that would be 0.8918 minus 0.5398. Can you tell me what that is?
वही पार्ट डी का आंसर 0.352
0.352. Yes. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to write all the rules together. So if probability Z is less than A is actually phi A. You can even write equals to, and even if you don't, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter if you write equals to or you don't write equals to. Okay. For probability, Z is greater than A, it's actually 1 minus phi A. Probability Z is less than minus A is equals to also 1 minus phi A. We've seen all these examples earlier. Then probability Z is greater than minus A is the same as phi A. Then probability Z is in between A and B is phi B minus phi A. Then probability Z is between a negative value and a positive value is phi A plus phi B minus 1. Then probability Z is between two negative values is just phi A minus 5b. And sometimes you'll get this case where both of them are the same size. For example, you get
मैम वैसे आप
probability
भी लेसन है नॉर्मल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन का ये
9 बिल्कुल भी
ये
नहीं
मतलब कि
वो
वर्कशीट्स तो चलो चले मैं मतलब चीजें मतलब कि कॉन्सेप्ट्स काफी लेक्चर आपके लिए
आ, मेरे ख्याल में अभी इसमें 3-4 लेसन्स लगेंगे क्योंकि इसकी वर्कशीट काफी लेंथी है और इसकी थ्योरी भी काफी लेंथी है। अभी तो हम बिल्कुल बेसिक पे हैं।
ओ
ठीक है, वन ऑफ द मोस्ट मतलब लेंथी चैप्टर्स, यूजुअली 1 हफ्ता लगता है
मैं
इसको पढ़ाने में। ठीक है,
मैंने सिलेबस देखा था उसका ए लेवल का उसमें अलग लिखा हुआ नहीं है नॉर्मल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन उससे बाइनोमियल और वो जो ज्योमेट्रिक से
अलग लिखा हुआ है।
मैंने इसे 4 पार्ट्स उसमें एक तो पहला पार्ट जो रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ डाटा वाला था उसके
ठीक
बाद
है,
फिर
हाँ
परम्यूटेशन कॉम्बिनेशन का सेकंड था थर्ड
हाँ
पार्ट
हाँ,
इसका ये डिस्क्रीट रैंडम वेरिएबल जिसमें ये दो आ जाते हैं
सारे आ जाते हैं।
बाइनोमियल और
हाँ
ज्योमेट्रिक और ये
ठीक है,
चौथा अलग से नॉर्मल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन
हाँ क्योंकि लेंथी है ना थोड़ा।
जी मैम
ठीक है, ओके। बट ये लास्ट टॉपिक है, होपफुली 1 हफ्ते में खत्म हो जाएगा मैक्सिमम, मतलब इसी वीक में
इंशाल्लाह
खत्म।
मैम
ओके।
ठीक है
अच्छा,
मैम
व्हाट इफ इट्स प्रोबेबिलिटी z इज लेस देन मॉडुलस a? So that means probability z is in between minus a and minus b. Sorry, minus a and plus a. Okay. So if we're using this rule, you have to add them, phi a plus phi b, sorry, again phi a and minus 1. So you actually get 2 phi a minus 1. So if you can keep that in mind, you can do it directly. So if you have minus a and a on both sides of z, it's actually 2 phi a minus 1. Okay. Now let's do a few questions where we'll be reading the table. Okay. So now we're doing, let me cut paste the table first. Okay, so we're finding probability z is between 1.15 and 1.35. Okay. Okay, so we're going to use the rule that in this case, probability is equals to phi 1.35 minus phi 1.15. Okay, so now let's see what is 1.35. We have 1.3 here and 5 here. So it's going to be this 0.9115 minus 1.15. So 1.1 is here and 5 is here. It's going to be 0.8749, which gives 0.0366. Okay, part B. Which is probability Z is between 1.111 and 2.222. Okay. So where's 1.111? 1.1 is here, 1 is here, and another one is here. So what we'll do, we'll add 2 to the last value of the probability. So 0.8665 plus 1. 0.8666. So, I had to do 5, 2.222 minus 5, 1.111. So I found this first. So I'm going to write negative sign and then this. Okay. Oh, this should be, it was 2, not 1. So you add 2 here, so you get a 7 over here. So this is 7. Okay, now we find probability Z is less than 2.222. Okay, so 2.2 is right here, and the next 2 is here. So this is the probability, but we add this 1 to it. Okay, so it's going to be 0.9864 plus 1. So we get this 0.9865. Let me confirm again, 2.2. Acha, sorry, I took the wrong probability. It was supposed to be in the next column. 2.22. 2 is here. So we have to use this probability and then add 1 to it. So in 0.9868. And then this becomes 9. So this is supposed to be 9, which gives 0.1202. Okay, now I'm going to start making one of these negative. Part C, probability Z is in between negative 1.815, 2.333. Okay. So it's going to be 5, 2.333 minus, sorry, plus 5, 1.815 and minus 1. Okay. So let's find 2.333 first. So 2.3 is here. The next 3 is here. And then another 3 is this 1. So we add 1 to 0.9901 plus 1. So it's going to be 0.9902. Okay. Plus 1.815. So 1.8 is right here. 1 is right here. And 5 is right here. So add 4 to that. So let me just clear the space. So we're going to add 4 to 0.9649 plus 4. So this is what I'm getting, 0.9653. So plus 0.9653 and then minus 1, which gives 0.9555. Okay, now let's take the case where both are negative. Probability minus 2.568 is less than minus 0.123. Okay, so this is going to be phi 0.123. Sorry, no. Bigger number, phi 2.568 minus phi 0.123. Okay. So let's find probability z is less than 2.568. So 2.5, then 6 is here, and then 8 is 1. Okay, so it's going to be 0.9948 plus 1. So 0.9949. 1.23. Zero 0.8907. So subtract these two. Oh no, it was supposed to be 0.123. Sorry, this is incorrect. Let me fix that. 0.123. So 0.1 is here, 2 is here, and 3 has 12 written underneath that. So we add 12 to the last, 1 and 2 to the last two numbers. So this is what I'm getting, 0.549, which gives 0.4459. Okay, let's do one more. Probability modulus of z is less than 1.3, which means probability z is in between minus 1.3 and 1.3, which means that we have to find phi 1.3 plus phi 1.3 minus 1. Instead, we're finding 2 phi 1.3 minus 1. Okay, so 1.3 is just going to be this 1.30, which is 0.9032. So 2 times 0.9032 minus 1. Zero 0.8064. Okay, that's the answer. I think that's all for today. And inshallah, tomorrow we'll continue. Take care. Allah Hafiz.